You can have your ad played here at OppermanReport.com every Friday night, 5 p.m., and Saturday night, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And on Friday nights, too, we do a live portion for 1 hour that I just do a live monologue. The ads are very, very inexpensive, and they're also played in the Opperman Report members section. In the members section, you can find all kinds of exclusive content that you won't find anywhere else. It's as cheap as $6 a month, $20 a quarter, or $75 for a year. If you contact me directly at oppermanreport@gmail.com, I'll set you up with a little special deal there where you get a discount if you PayPal me directly, and you even get a copy of my book. I want to thank Sean Duff from strawman.com. He runs the website. He runs the member section. And I also want to thank William Ramsey, who helps us to produce the show and book guests. You can find Sean Duff at strawmanmusic.com. He's an excellent musician. You can find William Ramsey, who's an excellent author, at William Ramsey Investigates on YouTube.
Oh, God.
There was another one. We just saw another one. We just saw another one apparently go. Another plane just flew into the second tower. This has to be deliberate, folks. We just saw on live television as a second plane flew into the second tower of the World Trade Center. Now, given what has been going on around the world, some of the key suspects come to mind: Osama bin Laden. Who knows what?
This is the horror we all saw and heard on September 11, 2001. The most despicable, brutal, savage crime committed in America, probably more so than even the murder of President John F. Kennedy. President Kennedy's murder resulted in a foreign policy reversal that in turn resulted in the needless deaths of 53,000 American soldiers and hundreds of thousands of women and children with that illegal invasion of Vietnam. 9/11 resulted in one more lying foreign policy disaster with the illegal shock and awe invasion of Iraq, destroying a centuries-old culture, 500,000 innocent civilians, and thousands of our own soldiers, many of whom now kill themselves. The Kennedy assassination also resulted in a pathetic, pseudo-legal sham of an investigation cover-up called the Warren Commission. 9/11 resulted in an even more pathetic attempt to hide the truth. You heard it. Not 4 minutes after the attack, without informing facts or even the hint of a start of an investigation, we hear the media telling us it was Osama bin Laden. This special 2-hour program with me, your host, John Barber, has nothing to do with who did it, but everything to do with how it was done. And let me warn you right now, to paraphrase Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men, if you can't handle the truth, you better tune out now and re-stick your head in the sand. As Betty Davis said in All About Eve, ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Before I introduce a dedicated scientist, teacher, researcher, and American treasure who has written what other scientists have called the most important book of the last 100 years, Where Did the Towers Go?, I'm just going to give you a few of my thoughts about humanity and about people. Mark Twain said, the more I know about people, the more I like my dog. When I was a neglected kid, I was surprised when people were evil. Now that I'm older, I'm surprised when they're good. I am no longer shocked at the depths to which humans sink to murder other humans. From Cain and Abel, mankind's humanity hasn't grown an inch. Only their technology, a technology that allows them to kill even more of their kind every single century. In World War II, boxcars dumping human cargo into ovens. America vaporizing thousands of Japanese, not with just one unnecessary A-bomb, but two. Agent Orange melting the flesh off of the Vietnamese. Depleted uranium still contaminating the earth in Iraq and Palestine. Do you realize governments give hundreds of medals for war, but there's only one peace prize? As Donald Trump and Edward Snowden have shown us recently, America is now a country where liars run for office and truth-tellers run for their lives. For mankind, it's always been so. Just ask Galileo. An ancient proverb says, if you're going to tell the truth, you'd better have one foot in the stirrup. Well, tonight, folks, this afternoon, for 2 uninterrupted hours, we are going to hear mind-blowing, mind-expanding truths. And I must tell you very honestly, when I first read Where Did the Towers Go?, I had a very, very difficult time letting go of what I thought might have been the cause of the collapse. Certainly it wasn't the planes. But each page of the 22 spectacular chapters convinced me more and more. I didn't understand all the mathematical formulae and charts, but the writing is so clean and clear, I could absorb it all. Each chapter is filled with telling evidence, photographs, unbelievable eyewitness testimony, and each concludes with common sense facts, material you've never seen or heard.
Key here. You know, it's very easy to make assumptions and to jump to conclusions. It takes great discipline to see only what is actually there and experience it to understand what that means. So we have all these people that believe they're experts because they have an opinion and an internet connection. These people would have to be able to launch out of a window with that kind of oomph.
What about some of the people that, you know, it's really a touchy, sensitive subject, but some of the people,
right.
Well, it looked like it was a controlled demolition. We see them all the time in buildings, controlled demolitions. But your book and that chapter just brilliantly refutes that. But then those who might argue with you would say, well, how do you explain those squibs of smoke that come bursting out of the side, which we can all see in photographs?
The squirts, I call them. There should have been a whole lot more if it was controlled demolition, a whole lot more. And I use my famous phrase, hot things glow, but not everything that glows is hot. And I use the example of an incandescent light and a fluorescent light. No
definitive documentary on JFK's murder, The Last Word on the Assassination. Now I'm doing a show every other Monday from 5 to 6 Pacific time on BBS. You'll hear provocative views, unreported news, and film reviews from me
from the World Trade Center with this in front of WFC, this World Financial Center, WFC1, where the double pane windows, one pane was missing but not the other, had rounded
wars in 2015.
And then most of the people following along are well-meaning people, but they just, you know, go into groupthink and they get controlled as part of a consensus.
This is what I'm trying to say to you. I am convinced that some of the leading advocates of a new investigation into the death of Kennedy are CIA assets.
Oh, right.
That's why nothing is being done.
Right. You don't need that many people to know what they're doing. Somebody running a military exercise is, just doing their job, and they have no idea of what happened. But what is clear is that this technology must be kept secret at all costs.
Well,
And so you get this cover-up team saying, for people asking questions, you say, oh, it was thermite, or it was bombs in the building, or it was, give somebody someplace else to go so they quit asking questions, they quit looking at the evidence.
On the Manhattan Project, 5,000 people were involved in it, and probably only a handful of people actually knew what they were doing. How many people would be involved in developing this kind of energy directing device?
Yeah, I call it directed energy. Just energy that gets directed. But this isn't something new. This is something that's been around for a while. John Hutchison didn't develop it. He just discovered it and could reproduce it. It was patented. A part of it was patented over 100 years ago. George Pigott, who was doing levitation.
Oh my goodness!
And that's in my book.
Yeah, I know it is. Also, there's again about like the chapter about the Hurricane Aaron was astonishing to me.
And as part of their screening process, they have this team that vets people, and anyone who has anything to do with the name Judy Wood they're rejected from the group.
Why?
It's the only thing I could conclude, except when I filed my federal key tam case, they wanted to get this into court. Well, I did, but nobody supported it. Almost nobody, 5 or 10 people maybe who supported it.
Well,
no one in the truth movement supported it, and without that support, the judges were free to sweep it under the carpet. As a matter of fact, the Court of Appeals acknowledged, they were respectful, they acknowledged they're ignoring the law to dismiss the case.
Oh my goodness gracious.
The lower court judge said he wasn't going to hear a case about who shot JFK or what landed on the moon, and he also claimed I was saying there were bombs in the building, to putting together what the whole picture is about. And 9/11 was an attack on human consciousness and a type of brainwashing. And until you get rid of that brainwashing, people's brains are shut down. Nope. Instead, they get the truthers there, because they have a very well-funded advertising campaign and a very nice budget. I don't. I just have a few friends that help out here and there when they can.
The couple of times I saw your lectures, I believe one was in England. I'm trying to remember. I don't know if one was.
St. Anne's.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was spelled, but that's when I first wanted to talk to you and interview and get your book. And I'm sort of ashamed of myself that it wasn't until a month ago that I finally got your book. But I used to look at your site all the time. So, are you just now earning a living from the sale of the book?
And doing some other odd jobs on the side. It's I live poor, but it's something. If, like I said to my mom when I told her I need to get into doing this, that's in the introduction chapter of the book. She said, "Well, if you do that, you won't have a job." And I said, "If I don't do it, nobody will."
Oh my God!
And I said that years ago, over 10 years ago. Now, doesn't that come true now?
Oh, absolutely, and it looks worse, quite honestly, as we look to the future, which may not even be a future. I saw it then, and who am I? But somebody needs to do it, and who else is going to do it? And I felt like I was in probably the best position, because other people have families, they have kids going off to college, and who knows what. But they're more tied in, and I felt like it was easier for me to do it too. But there must be somewhere on the planet a multi-millionaire who is not too fond of the United States of America and knows the truth about, or somewhat of the truth about, what really happened at 9/11, because he or she looked at the fact. Why wouldn't someone contact you to help you? And the other thing is, have you ever thought of making a documentary about your book?
Various people have volunteered to, and they've even filmed some parts, and then they used them to do a hit piece on me.
Oh my God!
It goes on and on. What I've learned, I've learned quite a bit. Now let's talk about Jesse Ventura. Somebody gave him a copy of my book.
Right.
And he thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. He was talking about and so forth. And then he got really beat up badly by the truthers. Well, if
Yes,
you're
he did. I remember. As a matter of fact, I've been trying